Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Jackie, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we are talking about the 2004 adventure comedy Without a Paddle. But before we dive in, let's get into some
Housekeeping.
That felt really good.
Okay. I'll believe it when I hear it.
If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here are a few ways that you can.
Did you know writing a review and/or rating us helps us get more listeners? If you want to be featured and help us grow, head to Apple, Spotify, Podchasers, iHeartRadio, Good Pods, or any of your favorite podcast platforms and leave us a review.
And if you like what you hear and want to buy us a virtual cup of coffee, aka a one-time donation, head on over to ko-fi.com/no-more-late-fees.
And we all know it's hot out in this bitch right now, and the sun is going to ruin your face. So why not protect your head and your face with a wonderful No More Late Fees bucket hat? That's right, people. We've got merch. Head over to nomorelatefees.redbubble.com and check out the array of wonderful collectibles that you can use to save your skin, but also look cool.
I was watching Sweet Home Alabama last night, and one of the guys at the beginning of Hitch, that Hitch Helps, is in it. I was like, hey, that's that guy that I said Hitch is out here turning threes into pliers. And I was like, that's a t-shirt we have.
Well, tell us about the movie Without a Paddle.
Without a Paddle is the tale of three childhood friends who decide to complete their dream of finding D.B. Cooper's treasure after reuniting at their friend Billy's funeral. Misadventure ensues as the trio encounters waterfalls, pot farmers, and bears in the pursuit of their quest. It stars Matthew Lillard, Seth Green, Dak Shepard, Ethan Suplee, Abraham Benrubi, Burt Reynolds, and Bart the Bear. It's directed by Stephen Brill. The story is by Fred Wolf, Harris Goldberg, and Tom Nursall. The screenplay is by Jay Leggett and Mitch Rouse, and you can currently watch it on Stars or rent it on YouTube. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So, you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best, would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
And same-day rental.
Some backwoods, straight-up trash.
A shit bomb, if you would say.
There are those too in this movie.
So I just bit the bullet and said, fuck it, fine. We'll finally do this movie. There is a list of movies that Jackie loves that I don't look forward to doing. And there is a list of movies that I can't wait to do that I know Jackie is going to want to pull her hair out. We've done a few on both sides. And this is one of the ones I had to bite the bullet on. So you're welcome, Jackie. I hope you loved it.
So what is your Y2K rating?
Never seen
it. Oh, we are in for a treat.
We're in for something.
It is a would buy for me. I love this movie, and my dad loved this movie. He would sit down and watch it with me all the time.
That makes it hard. It's funny because when I was watching the movie, I had called my mom really quick. And she's like, well, what are you doing? I was like, I'm watching this stupid movie that I've never seen that we're going to do on a podcast. Jackie loves it. She's like, you better stop hating on Jackie's movies.
Thank you, Christine.
And I was like, she hates our mine too. She doesn't like Parent Trap. She's like, just leave her alone. That's what she likes. Okay. So I got
Listen to
yelled
your
at.
mother, Danielle.
But she don't yell at you, and I just don't like that. I'm gonna tell Miss Terry, this got to be even because I don't like this.
It's because I'm the favorite.
Whatever. I didn't see your ass grilling for Myrtle's birthday, sweating in 100-degree weather because she liked hot dogs. Where was the favorite then?
I would have if I were there.
Whatever. I was sweating.
Tell us about the box office.
Fine. All right. So apparently this movie had a budget of $19 million. And also, surprise, surprise, it made a lot of money.
It did.
It made $73 million worldwide. Didn't see that one coming. It ranked second in its opening weekend behind newcomer Exorcist: The Beginning, which earned over $13 million. And Dennis Harvey of Variety called it, I like this review, it's very interesting. He called it an unstable, if mostly painless, mix of low comedy, stabs at higher silliness, and schmaltz.
That's a good
I don't
one.
know what the full definition of schmaltz is, but it's just like the word itself just kind of describes it. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to know the definition for me to know, you know? Entertainment Weekly's Scott Brown was more positive and wrote, there are some genuinely clever moments of physical comedy, and the inevitable crudeness is offset by winning whimsy. Without has all the freshness of moldering playboys stashed under a mattress, but it evokes what few boys will be boys larks can, chumminess.
I mean, I felt it. They all got along so well. You felt like, well, I mean, we know Seth and Matthew have been in a few movies together. And so there's probably camaraderie there. And
Which movies have they been in so far? So they were in the second Scooby-Doo movie together.
Yeah.
What else? Is there anything else?
I'm looking up right now.
Well, while you look that up, let's talk about casting because it's very interesting who could have played some of these roles. Jamie Kennedy was in talks to play Jerry, who was actually played by Matthew Lillard, which, great. Glad about it. He decided to do Son of the Mask instead. Bad choice, Jamie. Real bad choice. I'm not saying I was happy to do this movie, but I am deathly scared of having to do Son of the Mask. So, not a great choice. Justin Long was in talks to play the role of Dan, which I kind of think worked out because I think he would have looked too young in comparison. So that role ended up going to Seth Green, which was perfect. He ended up doing Dodgeball, which I think that was a great choice for him. And then Ashton Kutcher was in talks to play Tom, but he turned it down so that he could do the butterfly effect. I would have, huh?
I think that tracks. I could see Ashton Kutcher.
Yes, I would have. Out of all these castings, that's the only thing that makes me sad because literally I would have taken Jamie Kennedy, I would have taken Matthew Lillard or Ashton Kutcher instead of Dax Shepard. I think as time has progressed, I realize that I do not like him. I like him on Parenthood. That is the exception. I think Kristen deserves better.
Makes
and
me
that's where I
sad because
stand.
I enjoy Dax Shepard, but that's okay.
You know what it is? It's not even his acting or the roles he's played. It's him as a person and listening to his podcast every now and again. And some of the things like, because they're so like they're overly open about their life in a sense that it makes me side-eye some stuff. And the next time we have a movie with him, I'm just going to write some examples of some of the things that he has said that has just like rubbed me the wrong way. Because I don't want it to seem like I'm just nitpicking, which even if I was, who cares? But some my gut instinct was somebody right with that one. Somebody right. Just can't put my finger on it.
Shall we start?
Yeah, let's get it done. I'm not drinking wine This is the drink of my peoples. This is called sorrel. It's delicious.
Okay, so Without a Paddle starts. We get this montage of these 4 preteens. They're just hanging out, doing what preteen boys do.
Literally season 1 of Stranger Things. That's all.
Yeah.
You have to think about dressing up as Ghostbusters, riding their bikes. Less outdoor stuff on Stranger Things, but they were outdoors, building forts. It's like a mix of Stranger Things and Stand By Me. That's what the beginning felt like.
Yes. And then we see them as like in their late teens, maybe 18, 19, saying goodbye to Billy as he's off on his adventures. Danielle, did you notice who Billy was?
As soon as I saw that no lip bandit, I knew who it was. I knew who it was. I was like, wait a minute. I've seen those no lips before.
Do you care to share who he plays?
Now I want to call him Commander, but that's not his name. The boys. What's his name on there again? Okay, right. Once I saw those no lips, I knew it was Homelander. I just knew it. And it's funny because before he played Homelander, I thought he was brand new. But now I see all these other things that he's in and I'm like, what's that? But for real though, like he really should invest. It's not even his bottom lip, it's that top lip. It's like when you're drawing a lip and it's that line, that's it. It's like the Lord got distracted when he was making his lips. And just, it's like he
Lord, Danielle.
He did the top lip, and like Jesus came in and said, Dad, I'm not turning water into wine anymore. And he's like, what? And then by the time he came back, oh, I'm behind schedule. And so whoop, down to assembly.
He does have, it reminds me of Master of Disguise, the turtle lip from Master of Disguise.
He should get some injectables. I'm just saying. It would change his life. It really would.
It's hard to like him now anyway, since he's been Homelander.
Yeah. But that lip change could change him from Homelander to like Superman. You know what I'm saying?
A little Clark Kent glasses situation.
Or maybe like Captain America. But I don't know what that ass is looking like. So the Lord could have gotten distracted there as well.
So we start getting, we're introduced to the main characters now as adults. Tom, who's played by Dax Shepard, he's kind of like a shyster. He has all of these stories, or I know a guy. He's pretty much just a pathological liar. And he has a gambling problem.
I do want to go back to the scene as them as teenagers because like all I kept thinking was that I knew that the next scene, no matter what, I knew it was going to be like them as teens because you see Billy as like in his high school gown. So I'm like, oh, okay. I wonder who they got to play them as teens. I said, oh no. It was pretty bad. They all look way too old.
They just put them in some like late 80s attire, early 90s attire and called it good.
Yeah, because I think they graduated like 92 or something with a banner. Was not believing that. Poor Matthew Lillard. As much as he always looked younger to me than, like, I knew he was older, but he kind of fit in playing younger roles. Not this time. Like a full grown-ass man.
So we do meet Matthew Lillard, Jerry, who is played by Matthew Lillard next. He's kind of just like a businessman. He's pretty bored in his like board meetings.
Yeah, I don't know if he's like an accountant. Apparently, I think he works with numbers or something. So I thought maybe he was.
And he has a girlfriend. He forgets their anniversary, even though she's like laying down the hints thick.
I mean, I don't know why she didn't just say. I hate to put the responsibility on her,
Mhm.
but it's like I feel like collectively we have to come together and just choose one or two maybe anniversaries we're going to celebrate. What first date? I don't know what I did last week. I don't remember the date of our first date.
I always I guess there could be like when we made it official and like we're exclusive or whatever, but I've always done first date as
Really?
like our anniversary. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we've never had to have that discussion of like we were always immediately exclusive. So
Yeah.
it's one and the same.
I figured like it made more sense to me once I realized that they weren't married and that they were just boyfriend and girlfriend, because usually I just feel like after you get married, then your anniversary, I guess you're counting how long you've been together versus how long you've been married, but I'm just
Right.
like big one. A lot of stress.
So the girlfriend's pissed off. Denise is pissed off. She starts packing. He's like, "Oh, are we going on a trip?" She's like, "No, pretty much I'm leaving you. I refuse to play the nagging girlfriend any longer." And his response, do you remember what his response was?
I was too distracted at the fact that she put the suitcase on her bed. I
Oh.
was done after that.
He says, "Would nagging wife make you happier?" So he's not in a great spot. And in the middle of this, they're not really arguing. She's kind of just packing and trying to GTFO. But his phone rings. It's his mom. And he finds out that Billy has passed away. He has to go to his hometown
I was a
for
little
the
surprised,
funeral.
like, even though she's pissed at him, like, if I would imagine if your boyfriend got that call, you kind of put your fight on the
Back
kind of,
burner.
right. I'm surprised she didn't go with him.
Yeah, I agree. Then we see Dan, played by Seth Green. He is a doctor, Dr. Mott. And apparently his name is a nod to The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. So he plays the mild-mannered Dan Mott, who shares his name with Dr. Victor Mott from The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. So
Okay.
homage there, oddly enough. And we see poor Dan. He's got a ton of phobias. Obviously, he's a smaller individual, is picked on a lot, bullied. And so he's pulling into his spot, like the sign says, reserved for Dr. Mott. And this crazy man parks in his spot.
Played by Scott Adsit, who we just saw an Italian Job in another like car situation. So I was just like, oh, was this like his thing before he got 30 Rock? I don't know.
and Dan tries to point out, like, hey, that's my spot. And the guy like pulls the
Rages.
sign out of the ground. Yeah, he completely rages. Dan is like trying to scare him away with his little asthma puffer.
Right. Like, what are you doing with that? For real.
And then we find out that Billy died in a tragic parasailing accident.
Hashtag white people shit. R.I.P.
And now we're at his funeral. Jerry and Dan are there. And then we see this motorcycle pull into the cemetery. Like it's driving over headstones.
Disrespectful.
And it's Tom. And he literally yells, like, is this the funeral of Billy? Is that the corpse of Billy Newman? I think that's his last name. Just yelling. And the way the physical acting Matthew Lillard does, where he's just like raising his hand and like motioning him over. And like, and then he's like, Dan, are you there too? And so Seth Green raises his hand and like motions him over. So now
I feel like I would have been like, if you don't get your ass over here and just like cut it, just doing
fight
the
fire with
most.
fire.
Yeah. Doing too much. Get your ass down here.
So after the funeral, they go to their clubhouse, which is a tree house in one of their backyards. And they find their like little treasure box. It's labeled DB Cooper's treasure chest and it's locked. And they're like, we're going to have to break the lock on it. But oh, no, no, no. Dan still remembers the combination to it because it's his favorite centerfold's measurements.
I thought at first I had to think about it. I was like, is that the measurements from Brick House? I was like, no. But Dan could do better with his friends. I'm sorry. I know they're ribbing, but look, for a good while, it just feels like they're picking on him.
Yes.
For a good majority of the film. I mean, at one point they even try to tell him his asthma is in his head. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he has a lot of phobias, but like that asthma is not something you make up.
Yeah. And I really love this because they have like a signed oath that like they can't get their treasures back until they find DB Cooper's treasure. And they're like, it was a blood oath. So you see like these little smears of blood on the paper. And then they're like, Dan, that's not blood. What is that? He's like, it's earwax. I'm afraid of needles.
I stand with him.
I mean, he's resourceful, if nothing else.
After when we were little and that like after school special movie came out where the boy who had gotten AIDS from doing those like blood packs or whatever, I was like, yeah, I learned from that. I ain't touching nobody's dirty ass knife or needle, playing around mixing blood for what? So what's what white people want to do these oaths with blood? Never in my life have I ever seen a black kid be like, y'all want to do a blood oath? Nah.
Nope.
Y'all tell me if I'm wrong.
Done a blood oath.
Well, that was because we grew up watching that special. I think by our time it was like, oh no. Not safe. Not safe. Y'all got alcohol? Like, are we doing this right?
I need to swab, clean the area. No sharing knives. Everyone bring their own knives.
I could only imagine running into the house and telling my grandma I need a needle or a knife because we're about to do a blood oath. She would be she'd call that witchcraft and devil worship and would not have none of that in her Jesus house. And I wasn't even allowed to whistle growing up because whistling was like, I forgot what she would say. Oh, it's like a saying, something about the devil. So I wasn't allowed to whistle. Don't know what that's about.
When he's happy. That's how I know he's in a really good mood is he whistles.
Nana would be not so happy.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, so they open the box, what's in the box?
Yes. So they opened the box. Oh, and when Billy was going away to college or wherever he was going, when they tried to dress them up as teenagers, Jerry gave him his Indiana Jones compass to like guide his way. So they open the box. It's all their treasures. Dan's is a C-3PO, and he does a pretty impressive impersonation of C-3PO.
I mean, are we surprised? This is the guy who does the voices for Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm still pleasantly tickled when he does it. Jerry had a rookie baseball card. Tom had his dad's condom.
His first condom. His first rubber, as he says.
Yes. That he stole from his dad's wallet. And then they notice Billy's compass is in there. And so Jerry's like, Billy's been in this since we locked it. And then they notice a map that has like lots of schematics on it. Like Billy has thoroughly researched DB Cooper and he kind of pinpoints where he thinks DB Cooper landed. For those of you who don't know, DB Cooper is a real person. He stole a bunch of money, I believe in the 70s. And he stole a plane as well, I think. Maybe it was his plane. I don't know. Here we go. D.B. Cooper was the name that reporters gave to a man in 1971, hijacked an airliner, extorted $200,000 from its owner, and parachuted off the airborne plane with 21 pounds of $20 bills strapped to his body. He was never caught, and it is generally assumed that he did not survive his parachute landing. So
did not know this man existed watching this movie.
No?
No, never heard of him.
Well, on July 8th, 2016, the FBI officially closed the D.B. Cooper investigation after 45 years.
Yeah, because they found a treasure.
This is true. This is a true story. And so they figure out, because Billy had tried to get them all to go on a camping trip last year, like a canoeing camping trip, but Tom was detained in Mexico, and so he couldn't go. And they realized it was because Billy didn't want to do it without all of them together.
Yeah, because he's mapped out where the treasure was. He put the compass back in.
Yes. And so they decide, we're going to go on a little treasure hunt. Let's do it in the name of Billy. To honor Billy. I have to burp. Dan is not for this. He's like, I have a successful practice. I'm a doctor. No, thank you.
I was with Dan a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
You could see
Agreed.
It, right?
And he's like, I have responsibilities. And they're like, your responsibility is to come with us on this trip.
When he said that, I just heard Tommy Pickles. I have no, it was Angelica. I don't know who said responsibilities on Rugrats, but
Sponsortilities.
Yeah.
And then Jerry points out that we are 30. Oh, what it's like to be 30. It might be
30
the last
seem
time.
really old.
Right?
Mm.
I'm just glad we don't look 30. We can pull off high school students.
I mean, black don't crack, but I don't think so. I think the lowest I could pass for on a good day, 26.
Still in the 20s.
Yeah, I don't think some about these knockers don't feel 16, 17. You know what I mean?
So Jerry does say, we're 30. It might be the last time to do something stupid together. So they embark on a road trip, and they have a mixtape that they've created. They had, when they were younger, pretended to be DJs at a radio station.
That's who did it.
Right. Yes. Totally typical. But then a Dr. Dre song comes on, and Tom and Jerry sing the chorus. I just realized Tom and Jerry. They sing the chorus, but then Dan starts rapping the whole lyric. And so they're all kind of looking at him, and his response is, what? He's a doctor. Doctors study other doctors' work.
I think this is when I paused and said, Lord, help me get through this movie.
I think it was incredibly clever.
Right.
So now they're kind of in the middle of nowhere, Oregon. They stop in a very tiny town. There's some kids just guiding a pig with sticks.
And they encounter a sheriff, and they're like, of course, Dan is ready to tell them everything, his whole life story. And Tom and Jerry shut the fuck up. And Dax is Jerry, right? Jerry.
No, Tom.
Tom starts really getting all up in the sheriff's face. I'm like, yeah, that's the law, man. What are we doing for no reason, unprovoked? And he, of course, with his lies, he's saying, "Oh yeah, I know how to ride those rapids." It was more like the River Wild. You know what the fuck you were doing.
This is true. I also like that Jerry says, because the sheriff is like, you'll never survive out there. Like, it's the wilderness. And Jerry goes, we were Boy Scouts. I was a Boy Scout. You were a Boy Scout too, right, Tom? And Tom's response is, no, but I ate a brownie once. And I thought that was funny too. I love lowbrow humor, apparently.
I'm not saying I did. There were parts where I laughed. I don't know if the brownie thing, I was doing something else and I heard brownie and I assumed he said he was talking about a pot brownie, but I just kept it moving. My bad.
So now we are introduced. The river guide, really, he's just renting them the kayak that they're going to be, or the canoe that they're going to be traveling the river with. And he's like, are you sure you guys know how to navigate these rapids? And Tom is making up shit and like, I've done class 45 rapids, and the river guide is like, I don't give a shit if you die out there. Like, I'll get my boat back. It has a tracker in it.
Well, he asked him what level he was, 4 or 5, because he said he was an expert, and he's like adding shit up or whatever, and
put those together.
And then Tom takes a glass bottle and tries to christen the fucking paddle boat or whatever, and he's like, fuck. The guide is like, thanks for putting glass where my kids fucking play.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
It was about this point, because up until this point, like mentally, I was like, I know what line's coming next. And then after he said that, I was like, I know this movie way more than I thought. So now they are on their way. They are always fucking with Dano. So like Tom keeps like putting a stick in his ear, and Dan thinks he's being attacked by bugs. So he's putting on bug spray and mosquito netting.
Poor thing.
And then
who needs enemies when you have them as friends?
Right?
Ugh.
Well, I would have done it once to you. You would have flipped out, and then the boat would have been upside down in the river.
Fuck yes. You already know from don't do that, because I'm not gonna have a small reaction. I jumped over you, your brother, and your mom to get out of whatever Exorcist movie or The Ring. I can't remember which movie y'all put me in the middle as if I wasn't gonna run. Nope.
So Dan is singing "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me" by Culture Club. He says it soothes him. And Tom is telling more lies about how he's making a shit ton of money selling Harleys. And so they're pretty much just having a heart to heart. Jerry's talking about like he's not sure if he's cut out to have like the typical husband,
marriage,
family, kids, marriage type thing. They do pull over. They do camp for the night. And Dan was in charge of the food, so he brought like gel protein packs.
Now this is where Dan and I forge a different fork of the road, because I would have never brought those snacks. Never. Never.
But it's all right, because Tom is going to do some salmon fishing with a flashlight. And Dan's like, there's no fucking way. Like, I bet you $100,000 and my left nut that you don't catch anything. And like, as soon as the words are out of Dan's mouth, there's a fish being thrown at him.
I don't understand, like, why did he throw the fish?
Well, what else are you supposed to do? Like, get it onto the land.
How about bring fishing supplies?
They brought 2 cases of beer instead. They didn't have room.
Oh, so stupid.
So, and Tom, like, is fucking with Dan again, and is like, I believe you owe me a left nut. So he, like, pulls out a pocket knife and is going after Dan. And it's At that moment, they knew they fucked up because now there's a bear entering the scene.
Well, the bear comes when doesn't he go back and try to get another fish?
Yes.
And I was like, why didn't y'all throw the fish at the bear? But no, they had to traumatize the shit out of Dan.
So one of I keep saying one of my favorite parts. I have a lot of favorite parts in this movie, but it's Jerry slowly removing his shoes. And Dan's like, why are you taking off your shoes, bro? And Jerry's like, I run faster without shoes. And essentially he's like, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you, Dan. So he's taking his fucking shoes off. Oh, the comedic.
He wasn't even like really like it was like he was grabbing for them, but it's like it was ether. He couldn't even get them off. He was so scared. And I'm like, what kind of friend tells me he's got to outrun me? What's the plan? How are we all getting out of this with this fucking bear?
Well, did I tell you when we were in the Smoky Mountains after we saw the mama bear and her cubs? It was probably like a couple miles down the road. Ken decides he wants a picture of the Eurovan in the mountains. So he parks the Eurovan and gets out. I was like, are you wearing a belt? And he's like, yeah, I'm wearing a belt. Why? I'm like, I just need to know what I can use as a tourniquet when you get mauled by a bear, because this is dumb shit that you're doing right now. This is white people shit that you're doing right now.
You should tell. Okay, I don't have to tell him. Ken, I know you're listening. Eventually, this will get to you. Why? Why?
Yeah. So I get where Jerry's coming from, because at that point I was like, you choose your choice, man.
Right. If someone puts you in a situation, then it's all everybody for themselves.
Yeah.
But they decided to do this together, so that was not right.
Yeah. And so they start running from the bear. Dan trips and falls. And so Tom, in all of his made up fucking wisdom, is like, get in the fetal position. The bear won't bother you if you're in the fetal position. And then the bear does, in fact, bother him in the fetal position.
But he doesn't eat him, so
no.
He's kind of correct.
And I just love that Tom yells, abort the fetal position.
I thought the bear was gonna like bite his butthole the way he was approaching him, but he picks him up like a little babe, and he thinks it's his cub, which is hard for me to imagine a bear confusing a human being with their cub, because they should have their scent.
And so then the bear's trying to feed Dan and keeps bringing him like rodents and stuff. And the bear's like getting mad. And so Jerry and Tom are standing over there like, you have to eat it. And so we just see Dan like taking a huge bite of raw flesh.
Rabies. Oh my God. He was worried about bugs and stuff. Yo, dude, you could have fucking rabies. You ate raw animal. I didn't even know. I couldn't even recognize what kind of animal that was. I thought I was going to throw up.
I thought it was maybe a raccoon.
That's definite rabies. I would die. I'm sorry. I know there's like survival instinct and whatnot. I'm not eating no raw raccoon. I'm just not. Mama, I don't want this. I thought we ate porridge around here.
Maybe some sushi, some raw fish.
I ain't eating that.
So Dan does eventually get away and they all scurry up a tree. Bears climb trees.
Yes, that was what I was thinking. I was like, I don't know where y'all think you're going. Can't with a bear, especially a polar bear. You just might as if a polar bear tries to come for you, if you don't have a helicopter or a speed snowmobile, you're done. You might as well just lay there and take it, because you gonna die.
Yeah. Is that your polar bear PSA?
Yes. I did a report. I still have it to this day on polar bears. It was like my prized possession. Okay. Like, Your girl thought, I know everything about a polar bear. And I will tell you, you're going to die.
I mean, aren't they like 11 feet tall when they stand up?
Fuck. And have you seen one without fur?
So they sleep in the tree. The bear eats Dan's satellite phone, which has the Indiana Jones theme song as the ring. Which I just went and saw Dial of Destiny. So we've been on a huge Indiana Jones kick at our house. Not mad about it at all.
Yeah, I still haven't been able to see it. I thought I was going to be able to see it my birthday weekend, but I might. I just need a day with myself, my popcorn, and my man to say a final goodbye. Yeah, but right now your girl is ready for Barbie. That's all.
I thoroughly enjoyed Indiana Jones. I thought it was the perfect conclusion. I saw Gavin say that he thought it was a little long. I didn't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
There is some silly like inaccuracies to it, like scientific inaccuracies and stuff, but
yeah,
it made me feel how it should make me feel. Yeah.
Did you feel tingly in your downstairs like me?
I did not feel tingly downstairs.
That's a shame.
I'm sorry.
Well, our mutual samosas and popcorn went to see it. She ranked her like all of the Indiana Jones movies, and she actually named that one her number one, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I still maintain if I could only watch one movie for the rest of my life, it would be Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. It's my absolute favorite. Dial of Destiny might be my number 2 now.
Mm. Yeah. The aliens and Shia LaBeouf, I can't.
That one I didn't
hate. It wasn't, I didn't hate it, but those are the two things that I was like, that was the miss, you know?
Yeah. Well, and the swinging through the trees like monkeys.
Also, like, I'm sorry. Shia LaBeouf being Harrison Ford's son, I need to be on that casting team because what the fuck are we talking about right now? Be fucking for real.
Now I need to rank my Indiana Jones. So it'd be Last Crusade number 1, Dial of Destiny number 2, Temple of Doom number 3, Crystal Skull number 4, and then Raiders number 5.
I don't know because I haven't seen the new one. True.
We'll report back.
I'll rank my favorite actors in the movie. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford.
You can't even give Karen Allen some love.
Harrison Ford.
Stoner Chicks. We're 4 friends who met through comedy and bonded through weed. I'm Grace Penzel.
I'm Kayla Teal. I'm Stephanie Thompson.
I'm Phoebe Richards.
If you love smoking weed and laughing with your friends, this podcast is for you.
Weekly episodes will drop on Fridays starting April 2nd, so subscribe now to Stoner Chicks wherever you get your podcasts.
Coming to your favorite podcatcher soon.
Now back to the movie. The next morning, they're kind of assessing. The bear's torn apart most of their supplies. They do still have the canoe, and then they hear explosions, and so they see
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes hillbillies, and then I was like, that is a derogatory term. What can I call them that is not
country folk?
I wrote backwoods gentlemen.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. So I do like Dumb and Dumber, and probably from this point forward, we'll call them Dumb and Dumber, or maybe I'll just call them Leonard and Skinnerd because that's what their dogs' names were.
Dimwits come to mind as well.
Yes. Well, one was not dumb. Ethan was dumb. Who plays Elwood. And so they're essentially fishing with dynamite because they're nitwits.
The dynamite, dimwit, and danger. Just saying. So yeah, they're blowing up. They're fishing with dynamite, which is just so harmful to and unnecessary.
Yeah.
But the guys know enough to like hide because clearly.
And Dan wants to go home, and Tom's like, sure, let's climb back up. We haven't even gone over. Never mind, that's another part. So they want to get back on the river. Dan's like, okay, but I want to launch from the other side to get away from these guys. The map has a big bear paw claw tear through it, which Jerry doesn't tell them. Instead of saying like the map is destroyed, he's just pretending everything is okay. And so, of course, he doesn't see that there was a fork in the river and you needed to stay to the left. So they go to the right. It's a bunch of really dangerous not Cat 5. That's a hurricane. There's a series of level 5 rapids. I don't know what they call rapids. And then they kind of go through that. They get knocked out of the canoe. It gets tipped over. Jerry is an avid surfer, so he climbs on top of the canoe and throws Dan a line, gets him to safety. They get back in the canoe. They think they're okay. And then, oh no, waterfall. And so
luckily it was a small waterfall.
Yeah.
Because I think one of my irrational fears is going over like a really huge waterfall. And it's irrational because a bitch ain't putting herself in that circumstance. But I'm still fearful of it.
Fair. And so now the canoe is smashed and they have to start traipsing through the forest.
I would have been real scared.
Yeah. Jerry is excited because he still has the compass, and they're like, it came out of a cereal box. Like, we don't even know if it fucking works.
Right. Like, okay, it's great that you brought the compass as like memorabilia, but y'all should have packed real things.
Yeah. And Dan has been wearing a fanny pack the whole time, so they still have a couple of supplies because they're in Dan's fanny pack.
As I watched 80 for Brady with Nana, and Sally Field's character calls it a strap-on.
I love that.
With a straight face. She's like, it's a strap-on. Because she like, but she doesn't wear it around her fanny. She puts it around like, and she's like, because you strap it on. And they're like, that's not what you think it means.
Oh, side note, have I talked to you about Claim to Fame?
Yes, Jackie, I know you guys gotta watch it.
I've got Mom and John hooked. They're watching the first
season. Be hooked again on one of these stupid reality shows.
It's a really quick watch. It's 8 episodes. Season 1 is 8 episodes, and there's 2 episodes of season 2. I got my notebook. I got my handy dandy notebook. I'm like Harriet Spy, Danielle.
Jackie,
you should be proud.
Already told me. I know you're excited. I'm going to support you by watching because
thank you.
I haven't seen you all turned up about something in a while, so I will support you. I'll try to watch it this weekend.
Everyone should watch Claim to Fame. It's on Hulu and airs on ABC because apparently ABC still exists as a channel that has regular programming. And so it's at this point where Dan is like, I want to go home. This trip is done. And they're like, yeah, let's just climb back over the waterfall and go up 20 miles of river. Like, what do you want us to do? Like, we just have to find our way out of the woods now, essentially. And then we hear Creed, which is so perfect for the next scene that's about to happen. Because
Creed, the band?
Yes.
Okay. I automatically thought of Creed from The Office, and I was like, wait a minute. He's not in this movie.
They literally say in the movie, I hear Creed.
I'm sorry. I'm aware. I just
And then you hear, and with arms wide open. So it is Leonard and Skinnerd. They have kind of a trailer compound in the middle of the woods. And oh, by the way, they are pot farmers. So they're trying to hide from them. Tom's trying to steal pot. And Dan's just like, I'll write you a prescription. Stop stealing our shit. Like, we got to get gone.
right.
And then they accidentally knock something over. And so they are caught. They're trying to talk their way out of it. And then eventually they take Dan and throw him through the back of the barn wall.
This whole movie was such a slight on vertically challenged people.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
And so they start running through the pot field, but Elwood, the dumber of the two, had set up flare traps. So they were like booby traps where if you trip the line,
like
flares shoot
why? Why not put like bear traps or like a net that hang you from a tree? Why fire on your pot farm?
Yeah, because what you think might happen does happen. The entire field catches on fire. And I also do really enjoy this scene where they're like running and they're scared, and all of a sudden they're like hysterically laughing because they are now high.
Do you think you can get high that fast?
I don't know. I'm not an expert in that area.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I questioned how quickly you could get that high that quickly.
The only thing I know is I'm assuming if you inhale it, it is quicker because it enters your bloodstream. Whereas like edibles, they take so long because you have to digest them.
I don't know. So some people I know be flying pretty quickly on the edibles, but
some people.
Yes, Jackie. I said some people.
So, and then I love Dan gets paranoid. And so he's like, my patients are going to know that their doctor got high. And then all of a sudden he's like, I have no legs, and falls down. And I'm like, this isn't like at some points it feels like it's almost like a hallucinogenic. And I'm like, that's not what pot does. I don't know from experience, but
I can say from people I hear that some people think that weed can relax them, and some people have another reaction, which is that they become even more anxiety fueled. Some people may even take dryer sheets and try to put it in their hair because they think that may make them smell less like pot. Just saying. It heightens things.
Dan also becomes Neo from the Matrix because now they're being shot at.
Let's not. So I was like, okay, we're doing fine in this movie so far. Yes, they're being bullies to Dan. I wasn't sure if it was going to pass the Bechdel test, but I was like, I'm gonna ride it through. But then this very fucking unnecessary scene where Tom, because one of the Heckle and Jekyll over there, they've got guns with like the laser things or sniper shots or whatever.
Yes.
And Tom runs in front of it so that he can have a laser right in the middle of his forehead and then do a horrible Indian like accent. And it's just like, oh, I was so annoyed. Because like, not funny.
No, and I do agree, and that part made me cringe. I would say aside from that, there were not any parts that didn't really age well. Like it was all just
Aside from the one blatant racist thing,
Right.
everything else was fine.
Well, other
I
movies we
mean,
watch are filled with.
I know. I'm just saying
It doesn't make it any better,
no.
and
But I was like, oh man, damn, this was not bad. It's not the worst. We've seen worse and we're gonna see worse. But I was just like, oh,
although
it just
was
annoyed me.
Speaking of the Bechdel test, this movie passes.
I
Written by a
know.
man.
It's because the girls were talking about their pooping and they were talking about the rain
And Earth Child.
Earth Child. Yeah. So Rachel
and they were
Blanchard.
named Flower and Butterfly. So
Yep. Rachel Blanchard, aka the other Cher from Clueless. Which, by the way, I just found out that they make Clueless dolls, but of the TV show and not the movie.
that's
So
a
Rachel
tragedy.
Blanchard has one, but not Alicia Silverstone.
Hmm.
I might have to dig some more, but color me surprised.
So let me see. Okay, so Dan does the Matrix move to dodge the bullets. And then Jerry starts hallucinating, just flat out hallucinating. He thinks he sees childhood Billy
running with them.
And then they all run into a river, lake, or a creek or some body of water. And they hide by using reeds to breathe underneath the water.
Your girl wouldn't have made it, okay? I've tried snorkeling. It's just my brain and my body are like, nah, we underwater. That don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. Don't care if you give me this straw. This ain't right.
So, unfortunately, again, for Dan, a bug climbs into his reed.
What happened to him?
And so he's panicking underwater, but Dumb and Dumber just chalk it up to bullfrogs. And they go and search for the trio in other locations. Dan comes up, the bug flies out of his mouth, so he did not swallow, but now he's convinced it laid eggs in his stomach.
As he should. I would be terrified. I'm getting a full fucking workup when I get home from this trip from hell.
And so now Dan is pissed. He's just like yelling at everyone. He's calling everyone out like, Tom, like, you lie about fucking everything. Jerry, you don't tell people how you feel, which is why your girlfriend never knows like where you're at. Like, we all like pretty much grow up and be adults. And then as he's calling Tom a bunch of names, he's like, you and your bullet wound. And they're like, oh fuck, Tom's been shot.
It's just a graze.
It is just a graze, and good thing Dr. Mott has his little handy dandy fanny pack.
It's just so funny, like how scared of everything he is, but he has no problem stitching up a wound.
Yeah.
And just like blood is not a problem for him.
Yeah. But he confesses that he's afraid of almost everything, including cellophane, because he thinks somehow it's going to get wrapped around his head and he's going to suffocate.
Isn't there a song in Chicago called Mr. Sullivan?
Yes. Yes, there is. We do see a cutscene of Dumb and Dumber arming up. They're strapping on all their ammo, grenades, guns.
And a knife that he can't take.
The meat cleaver. It's his favorite, but he's told to leave it behind. And, sorry.
Do they hear the bear again?
Yeah. Yes.
So since the bear ate his phone, they hear the Indiana Jones song.
Yeah. And so they go to look for it, but the bear, it's still in the bear. And so they're like, oh shit, we got to get away from this bear. Meanwhile, Dumb and Dumber are tracking them by their foot.
Right, by their tracks, yeah.
And so Tom does climb a tree to try and get a survey of the land and see which direction they need to head. But then he sees Flower and Butterfly in their home a giant redwood called Earth Mother, and they're bathing one another.
It is. Yes, it passes the Bechdel test, but also like, what?
Yeah.
The thing is, like, when you go back and watch these 90s, 2000s, even 80s movies, like, I don't know any women who act like this. Jackie, you and I never, 25 years of friendship, have been in a tree and bathed each other in water and clothes.
Nope. No, we have not. But
and I want to make it clear, Jackie and I have not bathed each other at all. Clothes are not clothes. I didn't want to leave that open for suggestions.
It's true. So Flower and Butterfly invite them up. Tom gives Jerry the force name Slug, which my friend just moved to the Pacific Northwest, and her daughter is enamored with the size of the slugs there and has started a slug club. And I was like, oh, I love the slugs in the Pacific Northwest. And so now I'm part of the slug club, but not Slughorn Slug Club, Millie's Slug Club.
Got it. Both interesting.
And so Flower and Butterfly are very accommodating. They hang up their clothes to dry so that all the dudes are sitting around in their boxers. Been in the tree 287 days, but they do have a radio for supplies from the Earthchild Network. So they do end up radioing. Tom is trying to hit on them the entire time. And
Yes.
Jerry's just like, radio. Like, you said you had a radio.
and one of them's more interested in Dan. Like the other,
Yes.
not paying any attention to Tom. I think she even kisses him.
Mm-hmm. And so Jerry calls into the radio, but Dumb and Dumber intercept it. And
But
so
before that, they tell them about how to poop.
Yes. So they feed them, and then Dan needs to poop. And so they're like, you carry it in, you carry it out. There's paper bags. Go up there, shit in the bag, and then when you leave, take the bag with you.
Didn't she give him a pine cone?
Oh yeah, he's like, what about toilet paper? And she hands him a pine cone.
What are we doing with that? No,
Just
for
very
real.
gingerly.
With the pine cone. Where's it going? I'm legitimately asking.
Like,
how that working?
Maybe because it has scraping capabilities. I mean, I would have gone with a leaf, but
so what you telling me is I got to spread my cheeks and stick this pine cone up my booty hole so it can scrape out poop?
Not in the booty hole.
In between the cheeks?
In betwixt the cheeks.
Well, what if I get a splinter?
It's a risk you're gonna have to take, or
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Or you're gonna have swamp ass.
I swear, white people will do anything not to use a washcloth. Anything. Pine cones. Jesus.
So the two idiots show up and start trying to cut down the tree. This is when there's kind of like a line going from the tree down to another tree. And so Dan, Jerry, and Tom all escape off of that zip line.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Why not?
I'm terrified of zip lines.
I just did a zip line in Asheville. It was lovely.
No, I'm just afraid. Like, nothing will make me more upset than for my obituary to say, bitch was zip lining. And that's how she caught her death. I don't want it to be
She went out doing what she loved.
That's not what I love. That's scary. Ain't nothing below me, no harness.
You're in a harness on the zip line.
No, but then I'm like, I'm not free to try to move if some shit go down. No, I can't. I'm not dying amongst the trees like that. I'm terrified of heights. No.
One day, Danielle. One day I'll take you ziplining.
Jackie, I just told you I'm definitely scared. Your response is one day.
Conquer your fears.
That's
It's
not
all
a
in
fear
your
I need to
head.
conquer. It's not a fear I need to conquer.
So while the boys are getting away, the girls are distracting the backwoods gentlemen by throwing their used poop bags down upon them.
That poop was nice and liquidy.
Yeah, it was a good little grenade, if you will.
Look, all it would take is for one bag of shit me before I'm done. And they got shit piled on quite a bit.
Yep.
Oh, you want to talk about a fear? Ugh, someone else's shit on me? Oh, God.
So the boys end up stealing the backwoods gentlemen's ATVs. And Dan does what a lot of people do. I mean, I feel like Dan had a lot of coping strategies.
Yeah.
Before we knew what coping strategies were.
A question is hillbilly really do people get really upset about that?
I mean, I Googled it and it said it was a derogatory term.
Oh. What about the Beverly Hills hillbillies? Oh, I like that show.
I don't know what
I'm
to
not
do
saying
with
it.
that.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just like, I didn't know. I learned new. Okay.
Well, and I didn't know either, and that's why I Googled it, and so I'm trying not to use that.
Oh, I can't even say the word in reference.
I
What happens when we do the movie? What are we gonna do?
Not refer to them as hillbillies, but say the title of the movie.
Got it. I'm learning too, y'all.
Yep. All we can do is try to be better.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
So Dan's process for kind of disassociating from the danger he's in is to make speeder bike noises from Star Wars. And he does say, "It's my process, leave me alone." So now, but when they left the tree, they were still only in their undies. So now they're just in the woods in their undies.
I didn't understand because they had enough time to grab their clothes.
I think they were still wet, trying to put wet clothes.
Wet clothes in the wilderness better than boxers and whitey tighties in the woods.
I don't know.
Oh Lord.
So another one of my beloved parts is when it's getting dark. They're all freezing. And Dan's like, we should huddle together for warmth. And Jerry says, I, for one, choose death if that's the only option. But the cold overtakes them and they start spooning. So it's Jerry is the largest spoon. Dan is the middle spoon and Tom is the little spoon. And then Jerry starts whispering like, hey, Dan, remember this girl's talking about being in the tree and the rain and the tantric orgasm? Poor little Dan pops a boner.
Before we get there, we have R. Kelly playing, which also, why does Dan take off his fanny pack in order to cuddle?
Get closer to Tom.
And the way he does it is so extra, as if like he was taking off his bra or something.
So he does, damn it, another R. Kelly song that I want to like and I can't. So Bump and Grind, does play while this scene is happening, and poor Dan gets a boner reminiscing about the tree women, and Tom is none too pleased about that poke in his backside.
I mean, like, how did he not know that was going to happen?
Yeah.
But they get caught.
Yeah.
They get caught like dry hunching in the middle of the woods by Burt Reynolds. I didn't recognize him at first because it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a gun, I believe, and he makes them follow him to his hut in the woods,
His
which
cabin.
Yeah, right, cabin. And his
Not
whole
Hagrid.
It's Harry Potter to me. And his part in this movie is a nod to the movie Deliverance, which is another movie where friends go on a rafting trip together and things don't turn out so great. So he brings them to his cabin, and he lights a fire, and they're kind of, obviously they're scared of him, but they then think he's DB Cooper, and he's like, no. He's actually quite nice. I don't know why he had to use the gun to threaten them to come to his cabin instead of just saying, like, I will save you.
Does he hold it?
He has something.
Well, he does have a gun. I can't remember if he like points it at them to get them to follow him or not. I have two theories. One is he just has the gun on him for protection because there are bears in the woods.
Right.
The other one is if he did point it at them, maybe he was trying to figure out, are they part of like the sheriff scam, the sheriff drug ring, or are they like legit just like lost hikers in the wood?
What if he just caught a sex party and he was yucking their yum? Like, mind your business.
Well, he did say, hurry up and get dressed. I've been alone for 30 years. So he probably would have joined the party. And so they all have these clothes that are like from the 70s, because essentially his name is Dell. He was supposed to rendezvous with his friend DB Cooper once he landed, and then DB never landed. And so Dell just stayed and waited for 30 years. He was a ride or die, man.
I don't know, Jackie. I don't know if I'm gonna wait 30 years in a cabin. That don't even make any logical sense.
Are you going to carry my bones in a backpack?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's all I need. Just carry me wherever you go.
See how quickly I said yes? While when I asked you what would happen if the Disney World didn't exist, you'd be like, oh, there's other Disney Worlds. I told my mom that, and she was like, well, there are other Disney Worlds. I was like, I can't.
Yes. Matthew Lillard. Is it Matthew Lillard that's wearing the JJ Walker t-shirt?
Yes. Dynamite. It's too much. It's too much.
And then Jerry goes outside to relieve himself, and he hears the Indiana Jones theme song again, and finds the phone in a pile of bear scat.
He tooted out that phone. But like, how clean could you get that phone at this point? Like, there's no fucking way.
But they've also been chased and almost killed several times, so
they're over poop.
Yes. Go ahead.
I do love that at the end of the movie, the phone, or I don't know, at some part in the movie, they see the phone and there's a picture of the bear as if the bear did a selfie of himself.
I think
herself.
As Dan was dropping the phone, like he was trying to take a picture of the bear and then he dropped the phone. I don't know. But it does look like a bear selfie.
It does.
In this 2004 flip phone that we got. But Jerry calls Denise to check in with her and let her know, like, he's, for all intent and purposes, okay. And then the answering machine used to say, like, Jerry and Denise can't come to the phone because they're doing it. And she has changed the greeting to, Jerry and Denise are no longer doing it. If you need Denise, call my cell phone. burn.
That's a lot. She was doing a lot.
She was doing a lot.
But like also, I know that you've been worried about Denise and you've had revelations, but call Popo and get your ass saved. Like, what do we do? What are we really talking about here?
Agreed. Not wrong.
And then it's too late because here comes Dumb and Dumber.
Yep.
Shooting up the phone.
Shooting up they shoot and hit the phone, shooting up the cabin. So Del gives directions on how to get to the approximate site of where like DB was supposed to land, because Del does say like you can make more money, like you can earn more money, you can do all these things, but the one thing you can't get back is time. So don't waste your time. Like, do the things you love, tell people that you love them, spend time with people. And so Jerry starts using the compass to try and follow Del's directions, and he realizes the area is really heavy in iron. I think that's what he said. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's throwing off the compass. So because he has like an analytical brain, he figures out like we should be heading this way, even though the compass is pointing this way. And so they're walking and trying to find DB. They fall through a mine shaft, and lo and behold, they found the remains of DB Cooper. He had broken both of his legs in the parachute landing. And then they notice that he doesn't have any money with him because he had burned it all trying to stay warm. And they're like, even at the end, like, money is not worth anything. It like you'll use it to try and save your life, is the lesson they took from that. They do notice that there is a bit of light shining through the wall, and so it's like the ventilation shaft, and the only one small enough to get through is Dan. So Dan's real nervous. Dan had a moment where he was like, fuck y'all, I'm not scared anymore, come at me, bro. But then like trying to climb through this little ventilation shaft, he was none too pleased. And so Jerry and Tom start singing Culture Club. to talk him through it.
And of course, that's how Dumb and Dumber find them. And then they start singing, yes, we really do want to hurt you.
Yes.
And at this point, Dan has finally got to the surface and he can see them. And he's like gathered all his bravery at this point to try to knock the two guys into the pit. So to save his friends, because they've got their guns and they're going to try to shoot up the hole. And he does get them to fall down. They don't hurt themselves enough. And so now Tom and Jerry have to literally fight them to try to like get out. And it's a lot of mayhem and hijinks going on in this fight. And then the sheriff shows up, which makes obviously you think, okay, everything's going to be good. And so they get all four of them out of the hole, but then there's a switcheroo and we find out the sheriff is actually he's the big bad behind it all. And those two the knuckleheads actually work for him. So they've got the three of the guys at gunpoint. But at one point, one of the guys drops a grenade and they were able to grab it. And Jerry was actually going to like sacrifice himself to throw the grenade so the guys can run away, but they don't. And I like this part because that's when he's like, I was going to sacrifice myself. You guys should have ran away. And Dan's like, I can't read minds. Like, how am I supposed to know this?
You gotta tell me the plan.
This is the same guy who told him, I'm taking my shoes off so I can outrun you.
Yeah.
And now I'm supposed to know you're gonna take a grenade for me like Bruno Mars said.
Well, he does. He drops one of the bad guys butts him with the end of his gun. He drops the grenade. The bad guys start running away. Jerry picks up the grenade and throws it at them. And so they kind of are thrown backwards when it explodes, but they start getting up like they're uninjured from the grenade blast, but a tree falls on them. They would not be alive.
No, the way that the tree fell, like it looked like it squashed them, like bugs. But fine, I'll take it. And then we see them arrested at the courthouse, and the guys are known as local heroes for doing one of the biggest drug busts in the state or something like that.
Yep.
And then they see what Burt Reynolds' character, what's his name again? Dell. He has now decided to let go of DB, and he's going to go live his life.
He's completed his part of the agreement.
Right, because he's got his bones in his bag. But apparently DB did not burn all the money because he had to keep his friend's cut. And somehow Dell doesn't take them. Like, you've literally been off the grid this whole time, but you're not taking any money to like start your life again. No, or maybe he just left him some.
Maybe he didn't take it all.
Right. But there's like $100,000 and they are like, let's split it 3 ways. But then Jerry's like, no, I think I'm good. And then Dan's like, I think I'm good. And so they're going to give it to Tom because clearly he's got a bad credit score. You know what I'm saying? He's got debts.
And the way Dan phrases it, at least for his cut, is, I bet you $100,000. And so, like, that money is yours. I owe you that money anyway. And the movie closes because Tom's like, thanks y'all, but Dan, you still owe me a left nut. Come here.
Yeah, I think that was good that they gave him the money, but I also feel like y'all should have invested some of it, because you can't trust someone who hasn't been good money this whole time to just now have $100,000. Yeah,
like he's gonna have to put in the work, and what if he doesn't? And then all of that 100,000 is like in Vegas now.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah. So the last few scenes, Jerry goes home. He calls to leave a message on the machine asking for another chance, but he's actually in the room. So Denise turns around and he proposes to her. She says yes. And then we see Dan with Flower in the treehouse. And so he has the whole movie, he was talking about how like he gets so nervous and tongue-tied around women, he can't meet anyone. So now he has his person. And then the last scene of the movie is Tom is now a scoutmaster. A little fast and loose on the requirements to be a scoutmaster, since he's been detained multiple times, it seems like.
Well, we've already seen all the cases that have come out about the Boy Scouts, so not hard to believe.
And he's telling all these tall tales of doing all these dangerous class 5 rapids and stuff. And then one of the Boy Scouts asks, what is a downstairs? Because that's how they refer to a woman's crotchal
lady parts. Yeah.
And that is Without a Paddle.
Praise Jesus, we did it. Fun facts that we missed along the way. The bear in the film is an Alaskan Kodiak bear, which is it? Yeah, it's Kodiak, or is it Kodak? Kodiak. The bear in the film is an Alaskan Kodiak bear, which are not found in Oregon. The only bear species found in Oregon is the black bear.
Interesting.
What kind of bears are here in Florida? Because I didn't know they were here until one day I was on a back road. And I was terrified to know that we're in the same breathing space.
Look. Yeah, Florida black bear.
Jesus, I don't want to see it.
So according to the New Zealand website Stuff, during film production, a delicately worded memo circulated that women on their moons shouldn't go near Bart, who is the bear. You don't have to tell me twice.
I wouldn't even be on the set. You tell me when that bear is not there. No, I'm not covered. In one of the scenes, Jerry, played by Matthew Lillard, says, "You sure have a purty mouth," which is loosely based on a line from Deliverance by the actor Herbert Coward, whom Burt Reynolds suggested for the part. If I am not mistaken, the actor made up the line on the spot and they kept it in the movie. It's now one of the most recognized from the movie.
Nice.
I didn't even I don't remember seeing that part.
It's at the beginning where the sheriff's kind of when they first get into town and and they're like, "Where are we?" He's like, "Between bumfuck and you sure have a purty mouth." Gotcha. I know this movie too well. Without a Paddle was filmed on the central North Island of New Zealand and on the rivers just north of Wellington. And Dax Shepard, Seth Green, and Matthew Lillard did the majority of their stunts.
As Jackie said, huh?
It was pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's no Tom Cruise, but yeah. I mean, I would have gotten hurt immediately, but the movie has produced one sequel, like Jackie said, Without a Paddle, Nature's Calling from 2009, which was made and released about 5 years after the original movie. Both pictures are set in the American state of Oregon, but unlike the first of the two films, which was shot entirely in New Zealand, doubling for Oregon, the sequel was actually filmed in Oregon. I don't even know what the premise of that movie is. Thank God it's out of our time frame, so we don't have to do it. But we still have to do this Son of the Mask.
You don't mess with a classic like we Without a Paddle did now.
Right.
Most of the outdoor camping scenes were shot inside a very large warehouse.
Oh, okay. After the boys ride their canoe over the waterfall, Jerry and Dan ask Tom where he was a river guide. After he tells them where, he also says he was employee of the month, which is also a lie. Dax Shepard goes on to play Vince in the film Employee of the Month in 2006. Another movie I'm glad is outside of our time frame.
Tell the people where they can find us.
Before we get into our ratings, don't forget to check us out at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and now Threads. Fucking Zuckerberg got us again. We're going to check it out. We're going to see how it does. So far, it's missing a few elements, but we're there. So if you haven't followed us on Instagram, follow us there, and it should automatically follow us on Threads as well.
And shout out to Andrew. He sent me a message this morning saying he's following No More Late Fees on Threads. So early adopter. Love to see it.
Yeah, I think before we got on the call, we had like 300 follows, which I think is great that it automatically followers makes it easier to not have to work as hard to start on. Oh, one thing we missed was the scene that's behind me, which is at Billy's funeral. This woman is like dry humping the casket that she's going to miss Billy so much. And I just feel like I'd like to do that once at least to an ex-lover's casket.
Billy was quite the Lothario, it seems.
All right, Jackie. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be surprised, but what is your today rating of this movie of?
I still own it. I own it on iTunes. I watch it pretty frequently. It is one of my comfort movies. It just makes me happy watching it.
Aw. I didn't hate it. I don't have the nostalgia behind it as much as I love Matthew Lillard and Seth Green. I do like this genre of a treasure hunt.
Yes.
So, but I don't see myself watching it again. So I'm going to give it a 2-day rental.
That's okay. Oh, and I looked it up, and the only movie Seth Green and Matthew Lillard have been in together is Scooby-Doo 2, which feels wrong in my soul.
I think it's because it's so it's like a square, right? You've got Seth Green, got Matthew Lillard, and those two are very connected to Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar. That's what makes it feel like these two should have been in more movies, because Seth Green and Sarah Michelle Gellar have been acting in Friends since they were children.
Yeah.
And as you know, Matthew Lillard and Freddie Prinze Jr. are in like 5-6 movies. Yeah, I think it's 5. And then Seth Green has been in movies with Freddie Prinze Jr. too. So like, it's just a lot of crossover there.
How many Matthew Lillard movies have we done now?
We've done 13 Ghosts, Scream, Without a Paddle,
She's All That.
She's All That, and Hackers. 5. I
will ride that Lillard train till the wheels come off.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, I'm just so happy he's here.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that he was not in Can't Hardly Wait, because I kind of feel like it feels like he's missing from there.
Yes.
And for Seth Green, we've done Can't Hardly Wait in this movie. Have we done any more? Has he done anything else so far? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. And this is, I think, our first Dak Shepard movie.
Yes, because I feel like this is one of his first movies. He started on Punk'd.
Right. I was wondering if Ashton actually recommended him for the movie when he had to do Butterfly Effect, because they were close friends.
That's what I was wondering too.
Yeah, like Dax's time period is more like 2010s, because it coincided with that man that was everywhere that I can't stand. The one who's in, I think, Employee of the Month, and
Dane Cook.
So glad we don't have to deal with him. Oh, the worst. Except there's one movie I can stand that he's in, and it's called Dan in Real Life with Steve Carell.
Mm-hmm.
I like that movie a lot. Anywho, quick drop.
Well, if you have feedback for us, want to express your Matthew Lillard, Seth Green love as we do, hit us up at our quick drop 909-601 NMLF 909-601-6653. Twat us at the Twitters, or leave a message on our Spotify for Podcasters account, and you can be featured on a future episode.
And join us next week as we rewind back to one of our favorite season 1 episodes. Well, mine at least. The great debate that is The Parent Trap, the Lindsay Lohan version, as it is approaching its 25th anniversary.
Wow. I beg to differ. And as always, be kind and rewind.